The New Pittsburgh Courier has been a beacon of hope for black journalists everywhere. The weekly publication has been a part of the community since 1910. It began as the Pittsburgh Courier. It was created in 1907 by Edwin Harleston, a writer and Heinz Food packing plant security guard. This version of the Courier was more like a community newsletter, until it was bought out by investors and Robert L. Vann became editor and publisher.
They brought Vann in as the attorney to write up the articles of incorporation for what would become the Pittsburgh Courier Publishing Corporation. And Vann did that, and then they asked him to stay on because Vann had limited publishing experience at the University of Pittsburgh.
Under the leadership of Vann and family members, the Courier became a major newspaper in the 1930s. They had national circulation thanks to having boroughs in other cities.
So they had what they call 14 national editions. There was a Louisiana edition where the Bureau was headquartered in New Orleans. But all of those editions were published on Center Avenue right here in Pittsburgh.
This is the archives of the New Pittsburgh Courier. This houses the work of many reporters that have walked through the Courier's doors, covering issues like the Double V campaign and other civil rights issues. At its height in 1948, the Courier's circulation was around 480,000 copies. They were the largest weekly newspaper published in America, having their papers published from coast to coast and subscriptions in foreign countries. In the 50s and 60s, circulation declined. One reason was advertising.
For instance, whereas advertisers saw the Courier 20 years earlier as an asset to reach those African American markets, they no longer needed the Courier or didn't see the Courier as an asset in the 50s and 60s.
The paper was later bought out by John Sengstack, who owned and published the Chicago Defender, another black newspaper.
He was actually developing a African-American newspaper conglomerate.
Sengstack renamed the newspaper to its current name and now owned two of the top 3 black newspapers in the country. How influential was this man? I asked Rod Doss, the current editor and publisher of the New Pittsburgh Courier.
My association with him was one in which he shared his knowledge, which was a wealth of information. You might say it was like going to school.
Doss has been a part of the Courier's staff since 1967. He rose through the ranks of the Courier to reach the spot he currently has after the death of John Sengstack in 1997.
It is an advertising sales executive. Went to there, from there became the advertising manager and became vice president of advertising, then moved to vice president and general manager.
The Courier has had many great reporters go through its doors, and Doss wants to continue for 100 more years, reaching their audience through changes in media.
Going forward, we will always remain tech savvy or current with the challenges and I would say the opportunities that present themselves to us in terms of reaching our audience, in terms of providing better communication services as well as reporting and covering the news that affects the community.
Doss tells me that the issues confronting African Americans in journalism today are very similar to the issues they faced years ago. At the New Pittsburgh Courier, opportunities for African Americans in journalism are endless. Reporting for Point News, I'm Polk.